We all experience feelings of anger and frustration, and it's been on the rise over the past few years. At this time, approximately 8 to 11% of the population struggles significantly with managing feelings of anger. And studies show a notable correlation between feelings of unresolved anger and both physical and mental health issues. So it's evident that anger is simply more than an unpleasant feeling. In fact, it's the most unhealthy emotion you can have, and it can come with significant consequences. In a 2019 study by Dr. Megan Barlow and colleagues, they found that anger leads to inflammation in the body, which is associated with problems with depression, as well as chronic health conditions such as cancer, arthritis, and heart disease. Not only is anger terrible for you, but it's bad for the people around you. It can cause people to feel upset, intimidated, or even angry themselves. So if you find controlling your anger challenging, learning steps to manage it is important. And today I'm going to discuss the first 3 steps of my 10-part plan to better manage feelings of anger. The first step in managing anger, or changing any behavior for that matter, is looking at your motivation to change. This might sound like an odd place to start. You might be thinking, I already know I'm angry and I want to learn how to control it, so let's get started. But if your motivation to change isn't strong, it's very easy to go right back to being angry, even if you recognize that this is a behavior you'd like to change. So we're going to start by examining the Transtheoretical Model of Change. This model explains the process of change beautifully. There are 6 stages involved in change, and I'll explain each one briefly. And while I'm doing this, I encourage you to take note of what stage you're at when it comes to managing anger. The first stage is known as the pre-contemplation stage. At this stage, the person is yet to acknowledge there's a problem and would likely be heard saying things like, "You're overreacting," "I don't get angry," or "That never really happens, you're just sensitive." The second stage is called contemplation. And at this stage is a willingness to acknowledge there's a problem, but the person isn't ready to change yet. So someone at this stage can be heard saying things like, "Yeah, I get angry, but only at stupid people who deserve it." Or, "I'll stop getting angry when people stop making me mad." The third stage is known as the preparation determination stage. And here, someone's getting ready to change and is almost ready to start, but isn't quite there yet. So someone at this stage might be heard saying things like, "Yeah, I know I need to change. If I keep losing it, it's probably going to cost me my marriage." Or, "I know I need to control my anger. I'm just really stressed right now, and when life gets a bit less busy, I'm going to see a therapist." The fourth stage is known as the action willpower stage. This is the stage where good things can happen. Someone becomes actively involved in changing their thinking and behavior. And making a change can be particularly effective at this stage if you have a strong individual reason or reasons for wanting to change. An example of what someone might say at this stage would be, "I'm sick and tired of being so angry. If I don't get control of this, it'll cost me everything I care about, so I'm on it." Or, "I know there's a problem. I'm going to therapy weekly for it. I've asked my partner to point out if I'm getting too frustrated when I don't notice it." The fifth stage is known as the maintenance stage. At this stage, someone's accepted that most issues require some management for upkeep, but typically the person is great at good habits and there's less work involved to maintain the gains they've made. So someone at this stage can be heard saying, "Yeah, I was pretty angry there for a while, but I'm a lot better at catching it quickly and just letting it go, so I'm quite a bit calmer now." Or, "I find mindfulness really helps with anger. I did it daily for a while, but I find that 3 days a week helps me keep my anger in check pretty good." Stage 6 is the final stage, and this is where relapse can occur. In this case, someone's returned to old behaviors and thought patterns and is once again struggling to manage anger. When a relapse occurs, someone might be heard saying things like, "I was doing well, but then I got stressed out and busy, and before I knew it, I was angry all the time again." Or, "Honestly, I just stopped doing the things that were working because I didn't think I needed to keep doing them, and then I just slowly went back to the way I was." And for anyone who's managed anger successfully before and struggled with relapse, there's good news. You once had a formula that worked. It just needs to be rediscovered and implemented again. So those are the 6 stages of change in the Transtheoretical Model. As I mentioned at the start, take a moment to figure out where you are. If you aren't in an action willpower stage of change, that's okay. But the next step in our plan for managing feelings of anger and frustration will be crucial in order to help you move into an action stage of change. So for my second step, figure out why you want to change is extremely important. I touched on this point briefly when discussing the action stage of change, but I'll expand on it here. If you have a strong desire to change, it's because you've probably figured out what it'll cost you if you don't change, or you've identified how it can benefit you if you do. This is critical, because changing thoughts and behaviors can be hard work, especially if the patterns you have been in place for a long time. If something's difficult to change, it's very easy to return to what you were doing before. Anger is also a very strong emotion that can feel good in the short term. When angry, people can feel powerful and justified for feeling that way, and enjoy the feeling of blowing off a little steam and letting someone have it, especially if you feel like someone deserves it. So it'll be crucial to have a strong reason to change. Of course, reasons for managing anger will be different for everyone, but potential reasons to address it could be fear that the struggle to control your anger would cost you your marriage, concern that being angry will harm your relationship with your children, fear that difficulties managing anger will cost you your job, fear about anger is impacting your health, feeling embarrassed or guilty after getting angry, feeling like life is short and you'd much rather be happy than angry all the time, and so on. There are countless reasons for wanting to change. The only ones that truly matter are the ones that are important to you. For my third step, it's important to identify your anger triggers, or said more simply, figure out what makes you mad. One good thing about having past experience with anger is it leaves clues. You're not flying blind here. You have the benefit of knowing what makes you angry before it even happens. And although triggers can vary widely for people, I want to start by exploring 3 common themes that contribute to feelings of anger and frustration. For the first theme, I'm going to look at unmet expectations. And this happens when you expect someone to think in a certain way or act in a certain way, and they fall short of your expectations. And that gap between what you expect and what's actually occurring, or what you perceive as occurring, typically leads to feelings of anger. For example, as a parent, let's say you have a teen who's starting to keep vampire hours on the weekend. They go to bed at 5 in the morning, and they wake up around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Your expectations that your teen should know what a reasonable bedtime is, and you shouldn't have to tell them when to go to bed. Yet, you still go to bed way too late, and wake up late because of it. So that gap between what you expect and what's actually occurring can be a strong trigger for feeling angry. A second common theme can lead to feelings of anger is feeling overwhelmed. An example of this would be a young family trying to balance a busy life. Let's assume they have 2 toddlers and both parents are working full-time. There's little help with childcare, finances are really tight, and the family needs a new car they really can't afford. In a situation like this, clearly potential for someone to feel overwhelmed and subsequently struggle with feelings of anger. For a third theme, we're going to look at situations where you're dissatisfied but you're unable to control or influence the outcome. So for instance, let's assume you're separated and co-parenting with an ex-partner. You'd like to be on the same page about your children's daily routines. However, your ex-partner has a different vision of what that should look like and isn't interested in compromise. So this would be an example of a situation that you're unable to influence or control and could lead to feelings of anger. So once you've figured out the specific thoughts, behaviors, or situations that contribute to feelings of anger, it's important to be keenly aware of these triggers so you can catch the signs and symptoms of anger quickly and utilize the strategies we'll be discussing in the next video. So I'm going to wrap up today's video here. We'll be back with 7 more steps to help manage feelings of anger and frustration in part 2. But to provide a quick recap of the first 3 steps from today's video, first, it's important to assess how badly you want to learn to manage your feelings of anger. Unless you're in an active stage of change where you know there's a problem and you're all in on the solution, it's going to be very difficult to make a significant change. And if you're on an active stage of change, it's important to discover what will motivate you to move into this stage. Second, it's important to figure out why you'd want to change, as well as how you think about, express anger. If you have a strong desire to change, it's probably because you figured out what it'll cost you if you don't change, as well as how it will benefit you if you do. And this is critical if you hope to maintain change in the long term. For my third and final step in today's video, it's important to identify triggers that contribute to feelings of anger. Knowing what frustrates you allows you to prepare in advance to deal with thoughts, behaviors, and situations that can lead to feelings of anger. So I hope you found today's video helpful. These first 3 steps are crucial to help establish a solid foundation for tackling a powerful emotion such as anger, before we ultimately dive into the anger reduction strategies that we'll be utilizing in part 2 of this video. In the meantime, if you're interested in learning more about managing anger, please contact us at Sullivan Associates Clinical Psychology. If you enjoyed this video, like it, share it, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.